We're going to talk to Chibu Asonye. She is running Green Party. And before we get to the interview, I just wanted to kind of lay some groundwork, some context for our interview. The current incumbent of this seat is Nikki Budzinski. And this is what Nikki had to say in regards to the Israel situation and Israel funding from the U.S.
This weekend, Hamas launched a wave of unprovoked violence against Israel. I'm horrified by the news that we continue to learn about the brutality of these terrorist attacks from Hamas. And I'm committed to standing with our allies in Israel as they defend themselves and their homeland. My team and I are working to help bring constituents home safely. And I've joined a bipartisan effort urging the State Department to consider charter and military flights to evacuate Americans as quickly as possible. I'm also an original co-sponsor of 2 bipartisan resolutions affirming our support for Israel. It's clear that Congress must take immediate action to pass additional aid for our friends and allies in Israel, and I'll be sure to keep you updated on our progress.
All right. So that kind of sets the stage a little bit, right? Because first off, what are United States citizens doing in Israel? That's not a question that seems to cross the mind of Nikki Budzinski. In addition to supporting more aid for Israel, again, this is something that most Americans don't want. They don't want to do this. So let's get to it. Let's get to our interview. Let's bring in Chibu Asonye. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hi, thank you for having me. I appreciate that invitation.
I'm really excited to be speaking with you. I mean, let's get right into it. Why did you decide to run? And also, why did you decide to run Green?
Yes, I've always wanted to serve my community. And this is like my big spiel. I love Illinois. I love living in central Illinois. I knew that I would always going to be here and stay here and be like my little urban farmer self. And in the last 2-3 years, I have been seeing the older people in my life be promised things, and all the benefits of social support and social safety nets have slowly dissipated. And I'm like, wait, if my community doesn't want this, but Washington, D.C. is doing this, where is the disconnect? And the disconnect was in the Democratic Party in my community. And so part of why I'm running is to bring in material benefits to my community and stop wasting our taxpayer dollars and start using it on things that my community actually cares about, making sure that our libraries are funded, making sure our schools are funded, making sure that our fire department has a building that works, So those are all things that are actually happening in most smaller towns that they're getting defunded because the municipality only has so much money. They need federal grants, and they're not getting those grants because it's going to war, to other countries who have things that are better than us. And I'm running third party. I'm running as a Green. One, because I want to make sure that there's a ballot line access after myself and continuing for myself. So building up a third party within the Illinois community is important to me. People know that I'm here for the long term. The other thing is, in Illinois, the Democratic Party is the issue. It is. Illinois has Chicago. Chicago is always blue, no matter who. I'm a Black, I'm Nigerian American. Again, in Illinois, the stereotype is the lesser of two evils. It's going to be the Democratic Party. So my entire 27 years of living in Illinois, the Democratic Party has stifled things, has taken away stuff, has wasted our money, has always gotten into these very big fights with even the teachers' unions, because I grew up in CPS. And I'm just like, this is ridiculous. If the Republicans in my community are frustrated by DC and everyone in my Democratic Party is frustrated by DC, but we keep doing the same thing, I am not going to waste my time in a party that's going to continue to stifle the people in my community. that's not going to invest in the like in the students, in the people who, like, we're all wage workers here. A majority of us are wage workers. So, when inflation continues to get more and more and more, we're feeling that stuff. And I'm like, it has to be something different. And so I'm young. I decided to take my idealism and optimism and energy someplace where I wouldn't be scolded and derided. I'm like, no, I'd rather be, and I'm so happy. It is honestly a breath of fresh air to see my vision that I have for like Illinois be compounded with other people's visions for the larger country, and seeing how we're like, we all sowed our own seeds and like flower and watered our stuff. And now it's growing into some like really big, cute ecosystem. And so I'm living it. I'm loving it. I'm very happy that I'm a green.
You touched on something that I think is really important by saying by talking about the frustration that some people feel with the Democratic Party. I think to a large extent there are quite a bit of people that feel disillusioned by both parties, because at the end of the day, it just seems like both parties are moved by corporate interests. They're both moved by the military industrial complex, by big pharma, by these special interests that have the money to be lobbying them. Why? I heard some parts of your interview with Hardlands Media, which I thought was great. And one of the things that struck me was that you want to caucus with Republicans, that you are interested in having somewhat of an adversarial role to the Justice Democrats. I would love to hear you talk more about that, because I feel like, AOC and the Justice Democrats were people that a lot of working people put faith and hope into, and who have turned out to be just as supportive as any other Democrat to send, money. These people signed this resolution, I believe, which equated Zionism with, Zionism with anti-Semitism. So I want to give you a chance to speak a little bit on that, because I noticed some hesitation to be completely adversarial towards AOC and the Justice Democrats. And so I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah. I'm honestly happy that you said that. One part of why I'm not going to criticize AOC is because she's not in my district. She's not in my state.
Okay.
She's another woman of color who is doing her life in another space and has very little tangential likeness towards me. And so that's just my philosophy in life. I'm not going to shade another woman of color like that, particularly when she's not in my state. So her people have to deal with her. That's their business. And so because of that, I am interested in being outside of Justice Democrats, because everyone in my community who are Dems wanted me to be like AOC. They're like, hey, watch her movie. Okay, get inspiration. I think that, I already told them I'm going to run as a third party independent when I was like first doing my own like exploratory stuff. And they said, no, find solace in knowing that you could be just like them.
Thank you for watching my content on YouTube. To catch full interviews, get early demos and unreleased songs from me, as well as a whole bunch of other great bonus content, become a member at zavibenjamin.com/Substack, where you can become a monthly, yearly, or inner circle member and support my work. Thank you so much.